Hello and welcome to the 2024 Christmas in July with Venetia Ramsey from Scrapworx. Today we are on day 3 and we tackle project number 2, which is a single page. Most of what we're going to use has come out of our garden party booklet. But remember, you can use anything, you can substitute with whatever you have. So you'll need that. You'll need some of the goodies from the full pack and the essentials pack. So I have used just this section of here. And I think I cut out this little one, but I didn't want the Easter, I just want to document it. So I've just cut that little tag off over there to make it work. I've cut a few of these goodies out as well so that I can use them on my page like this, but you'll see a little bit later. And then from the essentials pack, I used this. I cut all of this up. So I've used these little clusters and some of the sentiments and some of the titles from here. And I've used some of the goodies from there, right? So I'm going to quickly run through what you need. So because I wanted to work with the booklet and I wanted to create a 30 by 30 page, I had to be a little bit inventive with it. And so all I did is I took one of the pages, I cut, because the page was 20 by 20, I cut it in half, so it's cut to 10, and then cut 2 of each out of a pattern paper like that. So if I put them like that, you can see which ones I used, like that. So basically cut a 7 centimeter strip, cut that to 10. So like this one all comes from one page, and this 2 different ones. Okay, so you need 4 patterns. You need to cut, out of the 4 patterns, you need 2 that measure 7 across, 10 by down, and I've 10 centimeters down, and I thought that we would just pop this in to look something like that. I think we'll swap it around. So I'm going to have this running across like that. The heart's over here. I can fiddle around just now to make it look a little bit better, but I do want this one at the top here, like that, and like that. So we can play around with it to look something like that. Okay, so that then basically takes up quite a bit of space because now I have all this space for my photographs. So what I did is I chose to use 3 photographs. They measure 8 by 8. So you'll need to cut 3 photo mats that measure 8.5 by 8.5. And then instead of matting them individually, because I just needed a little bit more space for this, I cut a piece of the dark cardstock to measure 28 centimeters across, 9 centimeters down, and figured I would pop that in over there like that. Okay, so then it looks like paper is going behind. Nobody would know that we used a booklet. So you could even get away with doing this with a booklet, a 6x6 booklet. And then I thought I would just pop the photographs in over here like that. All right. And then we're going to go about embellishing. But now I needed something that would separate that from that. And so we're back to this, the lines. They're always, your stripes are always a good thing. So I cut 2 pieces that measure 28 across, 1.5 centimeters down, and we're just going to pop those in like that. Right, and then like I said, I cut this part out of that cut apart sheet. I just needed this, and I want this to just lay behind to look like we've actually layered and clustered a whole lot of goodies just behind the photographs over here like that. I'll get that out there now. When it's all stuck in, it's much easier to manipulate. But that's going to go in behind the photo mat. I want it to go in a way that it looks like it's part of, that it sits. Let me put it behind here, it'll be easier. Like that. So that it sits on the photographs like that. Okay, looks like a cluster. And then I've titled my page Goodtimes, that is going to go over here, And that's where this little piece, it had that Easter on the top. I just cut it out. So it's going to say Good Times Documented. So that's going to go in underneath there like that. This up there a little bit like that. And it picks up nicely with the little shoe in there. So now we just need to make this cluster a little bit taller. So I cut that out. And then, like I said, I have the flower little clusters that I cut out. I only cut out the 2. And then I have these. So I cut out the little label, the banner, and the sentiment. And I thought it would be nice if we just tuck this behind. I don't necessarily want to see the little housey. I just want this tag to form part of my cluster. So I'm not really too concerned about what's going on there. And to hide the house sticking out is where I'm going to add the little label. And I'm going to add to that, we can take it up a little bit higher because we know that the label is going to cover everything. We're going to add a little banner to that just to draw a little bit more attention. And then this will say, it's got the word remember, and this is going to say love, love, love photographs, like that. And then I just wanted to bring in my little flower cluster at the top like that. I think, yeah, that one's going, I think the smaller one will look a bit better. There we go, because I don't want the cluster to dominate. So I think that little cluster sticking out there like that looks good. So I want to bring something down the bottom here, and that's where we're just going to repeat this little cluster here with the label, the banner, and the little sentiment. And I'm going to use the sentiment that says love life. I think I'm going to have it run across like that, and then have the little banner. And then I can afford to use the bigger flower cluster. It can go in over here, something like that. Okay, so I like the way that's turning out. And then I just needed something to finish it off, to draw your eye up to the top. And I thought to just add in another little cluster, another little banner. So that gives me my 3 little banners. And this little sentiment that says hello there on the arrow, which then gets you to look this way. And that is it. Plain, simple, but very effective, I think. All right, I'm going to stick everything down and draw lines and all that stuff, add in all the good stuff. But a nice, quick, simple page to complete. I decided that I don't like the white background, and felt like I needed to add a bit of color just to make everything on the page pop a little bit. So I will, I'm going to take everything off and just do a little bit of technique work on the background. While that is drying, I'm going to put glue on everything and then assemble the page. So I thought it would be fun to just do a little bit of, and especially if you're not used to doing technique work, this is a good way, I think, to practice, because we're going to cover most of it up. So I've got some speckled egg distress oxide. I'm going to squish it out on a piece of acetate, spritz that with some water. You can use your finger or a brush to just break up that ink, okay? And I'm just going to aim for the edges and just use the kissing technique to put some ink on the very edges of my paper. I don't want it to be too dark because I don't want this to overpower the background of what I've already done. So I'm just getting a little bit on, picking some of that ink up and going, basically aiming just for the edges of my page. But if you wanted to do your whole page to practice the technique, knowing that you're going to cover it up, and if you feel like you don't like it or feel like you've made a mistake, then it's not going to matter. So I'm just going to pull that color in just a little bit more. All right. I just really want a very faint background. I'm going to just add a little bit more oxide ink. So speckled egg is, I think, the perfect blue for this. It's not too dark. And we're just going to add in the little bits of places where I've missed. So I'm then just going to take it and walk it all the way across. so that any wet bits I can just, where the ink is pooled or there's more ink, then I can just even it out a little bit, because I would like it to dry quite quickly. I'm not saturating my cardstock, and I'm also not using mixed media cardstock. I'm just using a plain piece of normal scrapbooking paper, because I know I'm not going to get a lot of wet medium on there. All right, so I'm just going to add, I think I need a little bit more here in this corner. I'm going to break that up, and I'm just going to add a little bit more here. Remember, it's a very little bit, it's like a 1 to 1.5 centimeter border that's going to be sticking out the edges like that. You could even have inked it on if you wanted to, but I think this is a nice way to get a very light layer of ink on. Get your first layer looking like that. Right, and then I'm going to, when this is dry, it's almost there, I'm going to ink around the edges with some ice spruce, but I'm not going to use a blending tool or blending foam. I'm going to use my brush, because it is going to have the ink go on very light. So I'd like to get my borders quite dark. So I'm going to add the ink directly from the pad just to outline the edge of my paper. I'm not pulling that color onto my page just yet. I just want a nice defined border. I think that will help offset the patterns that I'm going to be using. And I've already inked around everything that I'm going to use. I used brushed corduroy, distress oxide ink to ink around the patterns and all the little embellishments. Alright, so there we go. Okay, so I've got a nice outline. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, but I'll carry on with it later. It is still a bit damp, so you're just going to pick up some ink and then very lightly just deposit some of that iced spruce distress oxide over what you've already done. And then that will just really offset everything quite nicely. The two colors, speckled egg and ice spruce, work really well together. But this needs to dry 100% before I can add that in. So what I'm going to do now is put on some music, put glue on everything, and I will be back to assemble in a bit. Right, so there you go. You can see how nicely that has turned out. It's very, very light, very subtle, and just enough to make it so that my background's not so stark white. So we're going to start by attaching our pattern papers first. Right, I'm going to find the center of my page and work from the middle out. Okay, so the paper is 30.5, so the middle will be 15 point, I think it's going to be easier to work use the inch ruler quickly and just find the center. It will be a little bit more accurate. So there's my 12. Here's the center. All right. I'm going to work from the bottom. I'm going to attach my first pattern about 1 centimeter away from the bottom of the page. Okay. Let's make my marks. That little mark there I can go in, and obviously I can rub it out when I'm done. But there we go. So I already know the order that I want this to go in. Right, I know that I want the shoes at the end, then the love, then the dots and the heart, or we could swap that around maybe. I think that maybe that looks a little bit better. I kind of like that. So I'm going to attach this one first, the dot first. So this is pattern paper 1, pattern paper 2. Let's work it like that. So I'm going to attach that in the center, 1 centimeter from the bottom, like that. And you can then just double check that everything is, that it's the correct distance from the bottom. Yes, okay. By doing it this way, it means I'm going to get even spacing on either side to work from the middle out. Once we've got that first one in, then it makes it easy to attach the rest, because they're just going to be attached 1 centimeter from the bottom, flush against each other. So I'm going to put that 1 centimeter. And my suggestion, because we're going to put that border across the top there, is rather line them up at the bottom than at the top. And when we do this side, we'll line them up at the top rather than the bottom, because we can hide any squiffness with the border that we're going to put over. I'm going to put that in like that. So I'm lining it up at the bottom, getting my 1 centimeter at the bottom, flush against the dot. Correct, and you can see that I obviously cut this one slightly longer than the others, but that's fine. Like I said, we can hide that when we put the border on in a bit. Right, and then we've got this one. It's going to go over here at the end. I think I like the way that has turned out. Again, lining it up at the bottom, so any squiffness here we hide. So my spacing on either side now will be a little bit, it's easier, and it'll be a little bit more even. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing at the top. I'm going to work from the bottom. I'll turn it upside down, it's easier for me. I am again going to find the center of the page. Lost my pencil. Oh, there it is. There's it over there. I'm going to make sure that I line it up nicely with that one. There we go. Looks like I've got it straight. So I'm going to attach my next pattern also 1 centimeter from the top of the page. Okay. All right. So we'll start with the dot again. We're going to put that one in over here. Just must remember that I'm working upside down. There we go. I just want to be sure that I get it in nice and straight, so I'm just going to use this ruler as my guide. There we go. So now this time I know that I'm working upside down, but it's easier for me. If you're working the other way around, remember you want everything to line up on the top. And if your patterns have direction, remember we are working upside down, and I've got the wrong one going in. This one goes this side, sorry. I want to do opposites. So my 1 centimeter from the bottom, oops, You can have it that the patterns match up. I wanted mine so that they this way runs opposite, so that everything is opposite. Make sure I've got it straight. There we go. Okay, so that's in pretty straight. Straight-ish. Okay, so the next one I'm going to add, that one goes over there. This one's going to go over here, and this one over here. So I'm going to add the text. I'm going to pop this one in over here. One centimeter from the top, flush against your pattern paper. Add the hearts, we'll do the same thing. And you could also add a little bit of journaling to this. It has got some lines on if you wanted to add a date or a place or anything like that. There is a little bit of a spacey to be able to do that. All right. Looks like I've got it straight at the top. They all line up quite well. Oops. Right, and then you can just burnish everything in place. And there we go. So the next piece that needs to be added, I think, is the photo mat. Okay, and that I'm also just, you can see, centering it so that it's sort of centered. I'll give you a measurement now. More or less, I'd say more or less 10.5 centimeters from the bottom of the page, although we could bring it down because we do have this. So you could have more of it sticking out the top than at the bottom. So we could easily pop that in over there. I think let's do that. So we've got more pattern out at the top. So we're going to attach the photo mat 9 centimeters from the bottom of the page. Remember, I want to be able to tuck some things in on this side, so yeah, I should be able to. I'm not going to burnish it in place 100%. So I'm going to, should have measured first, find my 9 centimeters from the bottom of the page. There we go. I'm going to attach that flush against the left and right, and my 9 centimeters from the bottom of the page, just like that. And this is enough space then to hide if I didn't get it perfect. All right, there we go. We can then burnish that in place. I'm not putting too much pressure at the top there so that I can tuck things in. We can then add this one. I'm going to put more glue at the bottom and a little bit at the top. Then I'm going to stop about here and a little bit there, because I've got a few things that need to tuck behind there. So just taking that into consideration. I'm going to attach it flush against my photo mat so that it, there we go. Then I'm just going to lift this because I know I want to tuck something in there. I'm actually going to put it in now before the glue dries. You know what, I think I wanted to go behind the photos. Okay, so that's not a problem. I'm going to attach this in place as is, and then I'm going to attach the other banner. which is also going to be flush against the photo mat like that. And that I think works out really well, because then the title and the little shoe cluster works really well together. Okay. That works really nicely. Perfect. I'm going to burnish that in place. And then I'm going to add my photo mats. Okay, with this one, because I know I want to tuck something in behind, I'm going to just put the glue and leave a little space at the top there. I should have done that with that one. I just remembered too late. Okay, I'm going to put that, center that on my photo mat like that. And the same with this one. So I'm able to tuck something in behind there. And I know originally when I did it, I put all my photos together, but I think I'm going to put this and leave a gap here so that I can add a tab in there. I think I like it like that. And then I'm going to add this. I want to put it so that it tucks behind my photographs and lays over, and that it lays over my the stripe. Just take it up just a little bit like that. I kind of like that. Right. Okay, I'm going to put on some music quickly and attach the rest, and I will be back in a bit. Right, so I got to this point and I wanted to add my little sentiment and label over here, but when I did, it just didn't seem to me to be working. It probably would have worked better if I had actually stuck with the original plan and had it on the side like that. I should have just put that in and it would have actually worked out a little bit better, would have worked comfortably with everything. But it looks to me a bit odd to have this in the center like that, and it's too late for me to pick my photo up and move it. So the solution is to just add a few extra goodies to make it work. So I took a little piece of the heart paper, I cut it to 1.5 centimeters by 8.5, and I'm going to pop that in there, so then it kind of works, I think. And then to just carry on, bring this across, so we can put in, just bring that across like that. I'll probably add in the little label as well, just to extend that cluster. I'll trim it and get it to fit in there so that it doesn't look like it's an afterthought. And then just to balance the cluster, I thought we could just add in this little label over here. We'll bring it down a little bit and then move the banner over to there, and then just finish this off by adding in another little label and the same image to the top. And I think then that just adds a little bit more balance to everything. So I'm going to stick everything down. I am going to draw dot lines around everything, and I will see you in a bit. Right, so there you go, that's everything in place. I've added some gel lines around things. So now I feel like I could have added a few extra things. I think this has thrown my whole thought process and off. But yeah, that's what happens when you don't stick to the original plan, but no reason why we can't make it work in our favor. So what I'm going to do now, there's like this little blank space over here. I think we can fill that up with some stamps. So this is optional. You don't have to do this. I thought that if we just take the brush corduroy, I don't want to do it too dark. I don't want this to dominate. So I'm going to just pick up some brush corduroy on my, and even if it doesn't stamp 100%, it's just to add something in that blank space to make it stand out a little bit more. And obviously now we can't just have one stamp. We've got to go in and add a few extras. So I'm just going to take the stars and just here and there, oh, I missed the paper, but it's fine. Here and there I'm going to go in and add a few extra goodies to make it look like we did that with intention. So wherever there's like a little blank spot, I'm going to go in and add some of that. And then I've got this one. This will fit in perfectly over here. And you can see then by adding in the stamps how we're able to fill up. I'm even going to add it in on my pattern paper here and there so that it looks, nobody will know except you that I made a mistake, didn't stick to the plan, and now I need to do something to make it look like this is what we had planned all along. I've chosen to stamp with the oxide, especially this is the frayed burlap that I'm stamping with, just so that it is very light. It's not dominating any of the patterns or my clusters. I'll put that in there like that. And I think that then is exactly what we need just to finish things off. So nothing is ever really a mistake, just an opportunity for creativity. I'm going to put these stars underneath there. So you can just keep going until you think I think that we can add some stars at the top here. And there we go. I think that then finishes everything off really well. We can put some stars going this way maybe. And some stars going over here. I think that then just adds that little bit of extra embellishing without having to add any extra patterns or papers. So the one little mistake I think has really encouraged quite a bit of creativity. Pop that one over there like that. Do some more there. I kind of like where this is going. And I suppose you've also got to know when to stop. There we go. Happy with that. And there we go. I think that by adding the stamping just finishes everything off. It just seems to tie everything together. I hope that you've enjoyed the process, and I look forward to seeing you in the next workshop. Thank you for watching.